Hello, everybody, and welcome back to JHR Backstage, our wonderful companion podcast to the main show. So far, I think this podcast has been a lot of fun, and I'm liking what I'm hearing when I go to edit this.
Well, that's good.
Not to toot my own horn, I guess.
I feel as though when people create stuff and they have to listen to their own voice, they're like, ugh. So if you can listen to an entire podcast of your and my voice and be like, it's pretty good. I'd say that we're getting somewhere.
You've got a fair point. Yeah. So I thought today's talking point would start out with concert experiences. Ooh. So like I said last episode, I want to at least come up with like a point or like a single point where we can start and go from there. Mm-hmm. So concert experiences is going to be the topic for this episode.
Oh boy.
And I have got so many. I need to make sure that I keep it clean because there are some that are not appropriate to say on a podcast that goes on cable access television.
Just keep it G.
Yeah. I'm a big mosher, and I'm assuming you know what a mosh pit is.
I know what a mosh pit is.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. I'm a big mosher, and like the amount of times I've like been knocked to the floor or like completely belted in the face by someone, like, well, because the problem is when everybody gets a little drunk, the mosh pit turns from like a friendly, nice, like calm place to like people have lost their ability to handle like their force. That's really what it is. Like they're hitting with more force than they think they know they are.
Right.
So, like, you typically want to stay out of a mosh pit towards the end of a concert because it gets bad by the time you're over. Like, in the beginning, sure. Yeah. Go for it. But, oh, God. The Worcester Palladium is, I think, the worst time I ever had a mosh pit, which was for a heavy metal show. It was with Amir, Attila, and Chelsea Grin. I went with a friend, and, like, the crowd there was terrible. Like,
really?
Yeah, not... Well, you know what? Full offense, but
okay.
Attila fans are terrible.
Oh,
Attila fans are just terrible people.
Getting called out.
Not maybe not all of you, but like all of the people that were clearly there for Attila at the Worcester Palladium. I didn't like any of you. I'm sorry. Like, well, like the mosh pit was like weirdly disorganized, and with like the general rule in moshing is like no punching and kicking. There was a lot of that, and like the crowd was shifting the whole time, which I mean I'm used to in most rock shows. Like you typically won't stay in the place that you started in. That's one thing, but like I was constantly just like berated from all sides on that concert, and it was super obnoxious by the end of it.
Yeah,
that's definitely one of the worst I've had. However, one of the best I had, and this is a little weird considering you wouldn't think they were a band that had mosh pits, but like. Green Day. I saw Green Day at the DCU Center.
Okay,
and that was like one of the best mosh pits I'd ever been in. I mean, honestly, people will just find a way to mosh regardless.
Sure,
regardless of the actual like musician or band. But like that was like a great group of people because even what was funny is they played Good Riddance. I think it was The Time of Your Life, which is obviously a much slower song. So what we did was we all sat down on the ground with like our arms over each other's shoulders and like swaying to the song, and it was like it was the best thing ever.
Incredible.
It's weird to think that we used to be okay with doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
In today's environment.
Yeah.
But like I didn't care. Yeah. It was like there was nothing in that moment but the actual like experience to you, which now I overthink things too much because of current world events.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Certain virus that's going around that popped onto Delta Airlines and is now infecting the people who are me and my roommates say that the people who are chipped. That's not the right term. Vaccinated.
I mean,
that's the word.
I like it. I like that though.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Crazy environments we live in. Concerts are going to be strange to go back to after all of this.
I can't even picture it. The
It's
next
gonna be
like
wild.
big event that I have that's not a concert, but like it's coming up fast because I'm going to a game show in November.
A game show?
Yeah, it's a YouTuber. He's going on tour with an interactive game show. Yeah. And like I can't even imagine going back to a venue or like dealing with crowds. It'll be so weird because like even I went to Canterbury Lake Park.
Yeah.
And even that was like, what
feel weird
is any of this anymore? I was like, what used to feel so natural is just not anymore. So like going back to concerts is going to be wild. Like I can't even imagine the kind of concert experiences I'm going to have now.
Yeah.
Let alone what I used to have. Because like
the problem that you run into as well is that like I'll get a little personal. Like I had OCD before quarantine, but it made it worse. Like quarantine made it so much worse because everybody was so hyper worried about like germs and being close to each other and all that stuff. And so like now, like I already had a problem before, but I was able to kind of like forget about it and it was whatever. Now it's become such a problem where it's just like, you know, even when we're out of COVID, I still think I'm going to have that like weird urge to not be around people just because like if you sneeze on me, I'm going to deck you. Like, you know,
which is wild because going back to concert experiences, like there is not a single concert I've ever left not coated in
like
everyone's
beer
everything.
And not like if you didn't leave covered in someone else's spit, beer, and possibly piss,
sweat.
Did you really go to a concert?
Yeah, go to a rock concert specifically. Especially the House of Blues. The House of Blues has some of the worst concert experiences that I've ever had because like it's just so the way for those that don't know, which is probably most of you,
for the uninitiated,
the House of Blues in Boston is arranged so that they have like a lower floor, like a general admittance, and then upstairs they have a whole thing of seats, and then they have 2 different balconies that you can stand on.
It's terrible.
It's a terrible arrangement because like I get drinks spilled on me from the balcony the whole time without any fail. Like I have not left that venue without being soaked in someone's drink that they poured over the balcony, either for fun or because they didn't know they were doing it or whatever.
Right. They were too intoxicated to even notice.
It's terrible. The House of Blues, I really wish some of the bands I listen to weren't
doing that
venue ever, but like it is the perfect medium-sized venue for medium-sized bands, which are most of the people I listen to nowadays. But
which is hilarious because my first concert was at the House of Blues.
Oh yeah.
And the band that was playing there, they expected it to be pretty small, and then it was packed.
Oh yeah,
it was absolutely packed, and I ended up on. I think I was on the second. Or technically the first balcony.
Yep.
Because I think there was one above me.
Yeah, there is a second balcony. Yeah.
So, like, I lucked out in the sense that I didn't get anything dropped on me, but I also couldn't see the stage because there were so many people, and there was so much. So, like, I was able to watch like the TVs, and I was able to like kind of like peer my head over like people and kind of see what was going on stage. But I was upset because like we basically spent most of it watching it from the TV or just like singing to what we could hear.
Yeah.
But it's awful. It's not a fun experience. And then shortly before the concert ended, one of my friend that I went with got sick and blew chunks into a trash bin. Thankfully, he got it in the trash bin, but the lady who was at the bar freaked out because she thought that she had like given alcohol to like a minor or something. That's not what happened at all. He was just dehydrated.
You just gotta love that that's the first reaction she would have had though.
Yeah, she like didn't even like, she was like, you know, shielding her eyes from it, and she was like completely, and she like walked away to the other side of the wall.
Completely shocks me because like, not to overgeneralize or anything like that, but like you work in a concert venue. Is that
that's
truly the first time? Yeah, is that
yeah.
truly the first time you've seen that?
Yeah,
because like I've seen people throw up at concerts plenty of times. Like,
maybe she was new or something.
Possible,
but she was freaking out, and then like we were escorted like downstairs. I love how like they treated us like garbage. But like they
that's the House of Blues for you.
Fair. But like they motioned to, like she was like all up in arms, but like the other staff were pretty tame about it, but I still felt this over-sensing judgment.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. But they had us downstairs, like they cracked the door open, and like he was sitting there, he had like water, and he was like getting, and then we just like we heard the concert and we watched everybody leave, and then we just left. I was like, cool.
Nice.
So like the last like 10 minutes of the concert was just spent sitting in a room with a bunch of chairs like next to the exit. And I was like, you know, if I'm going to have my first concert experience, I would be shocked if something like this didn't happen. Like, this is a rite of passage.
I was going to say, at least you got the worst one out of the way right away.
Exactly. Because the rest of the like concert type events that I've been to were perfectly fine.
Yeah. I I haven't had too many like really bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Attila show in the Palladium was one of them.
Yeah.
But like there hasn't been a ton of other like really bad ones. I know there have been a ton of times where weather was a big problem.
Was a problem, yeah.
Yeah. Like I went to go see Weezer and Panic at the Disco.
Yep. With
Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. That's his name now. I almost wanted to say Jack's Mannequin, but he hasn't been a part of Jack's Mannequin for a couple of years now. But concert went fine through Andrew McMahon and like part of Panic at the Disco, and then it just started entirely downpouring.
Was it outside?
Yeah, it was. It was at the Xfinity Center in Mansfield, which has a cover, but I wasn't in the cover. I was in the cheap seats in the back, which were out in the open, and it was raining. Like we're not even talking just normal like tolerable rain. It was downpouring. Like we're talking like hazing your vision in gray kind of rain. Like
damn.
And I mean they kept going because like the band isn't affected by that because they're under the cover, but like.
This was like part of the movie when someone died. Rain, like bad. Yeah.
I left that concert
like
having
halfway
to
through.
like no. I stayed the whole time.
Yeah,
trust me.
Yeah,
I wasn't leaving that show.
Yeah,
I left and my shirt, I had to like literally like peel it off of me like a Band-Aid because it was just soaked to my body. Because like I didn't have an umbrella. Who brings an umbrella into a concert venue or anything like that? No,
absolutely not.
And like who needs rain ponchos? That's a waste of time. Like,
that
was that was extreme.
Yeah.
I've been inside concert venues during like thunderstorms and stuff like that too, which I mean obviously doesn't affect the show at all, but it is kind of funny to like. Was that the amp or was that the thunder?
Yeah, exactly. The only outdoor concert I've been to was Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, I was at that one with you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
which that isn't even technically like you could call it an outdoor venue, but
outdoor, but they had a huge tarp.
Yeah, they have the giant cover over all the seats. Yeah, which it's not. They just changed their name again. It's not the Rockingham Bank Pavilion anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be the Blue Hills Bank Pavilion. And then it was the Rockingham Trust Pavilion.
Right.
And now it's something else even beyond that.
Cool.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with Xfinity Center. Xfinity Center is like its 9th name.
Oh, really?
That it's had, yeah. And I've been alive and going to it for 3 of them already.
Jesus.
Like,
what was the Weird Al one called?
That was Rockingham Trust.
No. But what was the?
Oh, the Strings Attached tour. He was touring with the
41-piece orchestra.
Yeah, he was touring with the full orchestra. That was an interesting show.
That was amazing.
It was really good.
I loved that show.
The one bone to pick I have with Rockland Trust Pavilion, it isn't anything to do with Weird Al, is they don't have stadium seating, and that bothers me.
Yeah, it's
like all just flat seating. Which,
I don't remember it being that bad, but it was
it's
weird.
not
I remember
terrible.
Being sort of slanted.
It is, but like the Xfinity Center goes like exponentially up in like a stadium platform style. Most venues do. This was just had a sea of folding chairs.
That is true. Yeah,
like one almost perfectly 180 plane.
Was it? I thought it went. Well, I thought it was elevated.
It elevated just a tad. But like it almost felt like that was the natural elevation of the ground, not intentional for the venue.
Yeah.
Like
maybe
that's my one little bone to pick with the Rockland Trust or whatever they want to call themselves now.
Just kind of a thrown together.
I don't like that it doesn't have stadium seating or anything like that.
Yeah.
TD Bank, like TD Garden, please stay as far away from me as possible. I have only seen a couple of concerts there, but I've also been a couple of sporting events there as well. There is like literally like less than 2 inches between each seat.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's like very bad. Like
movie theater seating.
Like, so you guys can't see this, but I'm gonna visualize it with one of the other chairs here in this podcast studio that we're in.
I mean, is not how like, close seats usually are to each other and stuff like that?
Usually, even like Rockland Trust, remember, they were we're a good distance away from each other. TD Garden,
Fair.
they just try and shove as many seats in as they humanly can.
Did the seats have armrests?
No.
Then that's too close.
Yeah,
that's way too close.
They're tiny little chairs. Like some of them do. Some of them have armrests, but when you get really high up, like I was, like right up in the what they call the nosebleeds in the industry.
Yeah.
There was nothing. No, and like the seats are like that small, like ridiculously tiny.
Yeah.
I will say though, TD Garden's box seats are great. So like I went into one of those private rooms to see Imagine Dragons.
Yep.
And I was in this like comfy reclining seat, and like had my own like little like snack bar.
Yeah.
In the thing itself, we also had our own merch table and our own
really
like concession stand in like the VIP section. Like
that's so cool.
It was wild.
Yeah.
Like and like more than anything, I got to go to that for free.
Oh wow!
So I was friends with this dude whose dad worked for a place that owned one of the boxes in TD Garden,
right?
And like they got to take turns using it.
Yeah,
like they just had to reserve the tickets, and so I was just invited to go. It was Halsey and Imagine Dragons, and what was really funny is it was Halsey before Badlands came out, which is like her debut breakthrough album. So like nobody really knew who she was at that point. It was just that's my only I knew her before she was cool story.
Yeah.
Like I knew it before it was cool idea. Halsey's the only one I can say that to. Like, but yeah, the box seats in TD Garden are like the only redeeming factor of that venue. But the problem is if you don't have connections, they're like literally a mortgage worth.
Yeah.
Like they're insane.
That's what my family would always describe. They're like, we can't get box seats because you would have to sacrifice basically your wife, your kids, your house. And as a kid, I was like,
I mean, and it's funny, not really exaggerating. They're like a couple grand.
No, yeah. I figured that there was truth in that sentence where like it was just really expensive. And it's funny because I remember when I was a kid, whenever somebody said box seats, I always imagined somebody trading away their wife and their kids and their house to sit in a normal seat with a cardboard box over them instead. Because I had no idea what it was.
Yeah,
I mean,
was like, hey, that works.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I was like, why would anyone do that? But then now I know what it actually is. I was like, oh, well, okay.
The only other time that I ever sat in box seats was at the Tsongas Center in Lowell.
Really?
Yeah, and that was for Five Finger Death Punch and Papa Roach and someone else. Someone else was In This Moment. In This Moment was opening. That's right. And that was weird. There's the arena's in a circle, obviously, and in the far back center on the top floor was their VIP lounge. And it was like, you know how you always have like that stereotypical thing in like movies where the villain is like overlooking like the peasants in his like $1 billion mansion bay window. Like it kind of felt like that.
like Lincoln seats style.
Yeah, there was like these giant bay windows and all these comfy soft seats and stuff like that with its own bar and concessions and stuff in the VIP lounge itself.
That's amazing.
I don't remember how much we paid for that show, but it was one of those situations where my mom like really wanted to go see Five Finger Death Punch, her favorite band, and like by the time she got around to buying tickets, the only thing left was the VIP lounge. So she was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, she was just like, all right, okay. Yeah, okay.
So that was me and her that went to that. That was Papa Roach was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was the show before Ivan Moody, the lead singer of Five Finger Death Punch, had his complete meltdown.
I heard about that.
That was the show before that happened. So, and like you could clearly see the build up because even in Lowell, they would sing a song and then go off stage for like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And then come back on and sing another song, disappear off stage for another 5-6 minutes. Like,
damn.
Like most bands take like maybe a minute's pause so that the guitarist can get his next guitar that's tuned to whatever song they're playing next. Or like singer can go shove a whole water bottle down his throat or whatever.
Pretty much.
Like this was ridiculous. They were going fully off stage. All the lights were turning off. 5-minute break. Come back on.
And wow.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, I paid, like my mom paid VIP lounge for this. Like,
yeah.
Well, at least In This Moment and Papa Roach were great, but that was the 4th time I had seen In This Moment, and I can't even count the number of times I've seen Papa Roach. But like, this was my first time seeing Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah.
So they were the ones that mattered, and
the 5-finger disappointment.
Yeah, exactly. Papa Roach is one of those bands that's just at every show.
Yeah.
I don't
just appear everywhere.
Yeah, they must just tour year round, because every show that I go to, they're just there. I've seen Papa Roach, like realistically, I've probably seen Papa Roach around 5 to 6 times because they're just, and it's never for them. Like I'm never going to the show for them.
Yeah,
but they're just always there. Like the weirdest show I think they were a part of was I saw Falling in Reverse with Papa Roach and A Day to Remember. Which A Day to Remember and Falling in Reverse definitely go together. But Papa Roach is a weird child in that. Like, their older stuff fits that bill.
Yeah.
But their recent stuff is nowhere even close to that. They've been taking a much different, more experimental way of doing things the last couple albums. So, like, it was weird to see them with Falling in Reverse and A Day to Remember. But that was also at the Saga Center, actually. Speaking of.
Maroon 5, Taylor Swift, and Papa Roach.
Oh, you got to throw Lamb of God in there, too.
Oh, are they everywhere too?
Yeah, Lamb of God tours with every metal show that ever happens. Those men just must not sleep. They're just at every show ever. I've seen, realistically, I think I've seen Lamb of God like almost 7 times.
Wow.
And never for them. I'm never going because, hey, I want to see Lamb of God. Every metal show, without fail, they're just there. And I was like, how do you manage to do this? Like,
I think the only other music show that I've been to is Blue Man Group.
That counts.
Yeah. I would say that counts.
Yeah.
It was Blue Man Group, and it was because I was at Universal Studios in Florida, and my mom, like 7 years prior to this trip, promised us 2 things. She promised us Netflix, and she promised us, when that was still a new thing, and she promised us to see Blue Man Group.
What does Netflix have to do with a Florida vacation?
So I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So the point is that like years ago she promised like 2 things at the same time, but she would get them in the future.
Yeah.
One of them was Netflix, one of them was Blue Man Group.
Okay.
I just happen to remember them because they came together.
Yeah.
And so we got Netflix like immediately, but then we kept asking over and over again, when are we going to see Blue Man Group? Because you promised it like years ago. And so we were at we like had forgotten like eventually. And then we were in Universal, and they have like a permanent residence there. Pretty much, or at least what it seems like.
They do. Yeah. They took over what used to be Nickelodeon Studios.
That kind of makes me a little sad.
Yeah.
Because I would have loved to have seen, but that's fine. But it was funny because my mom was like, "Oh, it's time for me to make good on my promise. Let's go see Blue Man Group." And we were like, "Oh yeah." And then we went, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
and so
Blue Man Group's great.
It is. It was really incredible, and their work with AJR in the last album.
Yeah. We talked about that in I think the first podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was the other 2 shows. I mean, one was a comedy show, and the other one was a YouTube show.
Yeah.
But the music experiences that I've had have been very all over the place.
Yeah.
The first one was kind of cruddy and then ended with a laugh. The second one was pretty all right, and then the Blue Man Group one was just incredible.
I would say realistically, I'm probably almost into the hundreds in terms of concerts.
Really?
Yeah. I have been going to almost 10 concerts a year since 2012. So like I'm almost there.
Yeah, you're almost at 100.
Yeah. I mean, 2012, I think I only went to 2 or 3, but then after that, like, it was constant. I remember the most I ever did was in one summer, we saw 8 different concerts.
Right.
Yeah, and that was, I think, 2016 or 2017. We used to do this thing, Xfinity Center had this thing called Ticket to Rock, which you paid $100, and you got to pick from 4 of the shows on their list to get tickets to.
Right.
And we did that every summer for like 3 years until the band started repeating themselves constantly. And then we were like, well, kind of sick of seeing these same people over and over again.
Yeah.
How many more times can I stomach Breaking Benjamin? As much as I love Breaking Benjamin, 7 times seeing them live with the last 2 being terrible.
Yeah.
Is enough for me.
Yeah.
I think I'm done after that.
Gonna call it quits.
Yeah. Shinedown I'll see 7 times more. They're fine. They're great. They put on a great show every time. The last 2 times I saw Breaking Benjamin, the lead singer Benjamin Burnley just gave up halfway through the show.
Oh.
Like they played about half their set and then they walked off stage and then came back out and the guitarist sang the rest of the set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the guitarist sounds like him, thankfully. Yeah. They both sound like each other, but like he just kind of gave up. and the guitarist just did the rest of the show.
Wow.
That was 2 shows in a row. It was wild to me.
Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
I mean, he's got some stuff going on. I know that he's sick and he's an alcoholic as far as I'm aware. But like, still,
yeah, that's
is wild.
That is really wild.
But yeah, that made me not want to go see them after having already seen them for like 6 or 7 times. The person that I want to see again, which actually I am next May, is JHR. I'm so excited to see them a second time. I'm not really excited to see them in an outdoor venue. Yeah. Because I feel like they're a band that would thrive the best in an indoor venue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I saw them at first at Agganis Arena on the BU campus. Mm-hmm. And that was perfect. That was a perfectly sized venue for them. It was a perfect acoustics and all that. They're at Xfinity in May. So I'm curious how they do with an outdoor venue and a bad outdoor venue at that. Yeah. Because I don't like Xfinity Center. If I'm going to do something in the ballpark of Xfinity Center, I want to go to the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion up in Guilford, New Hampshire. Right. It's like a 3-hour drive from Massachusetts, but like it's the Xfinity Center concept done correctly. Right. Like they take the same idea as Xfinity Center and apply it better.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah. So I've lied. I've been to 2 other music shows, but they were virtual.
Oh, right, because you saw One Spectacular Night and then you saw the Gorillaz, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So AJR did One Spectacular Night on December 26th of 2020, and it was incredible.
I wanted to go to that really badly, but I was working.
It was incredible. It was like the amount of like stuff that they had with it and like all of the special effects and like all the really cool like stage stuff that they did was like they had like a piano like floating at one point. They had like they
stole that from Panic at the Disco.
I'm sure Panic at the Disco stole that from somebody.
Probably, yeah.
So, but it's just something where like, you know, they had that and then they had like stars and stuff going on when he did it, and then like there was a scene where like they recreated where they used to play like on the city streets, and like there was a trumpeter that was like shooting clouds and every time they shot a new cloud they changed the song they were playing on the
they
trumpet.
did that live too.
Did they?
They did that when I saw them at the Agganis Arena. They did it as like a medley of all the songs that they thought people would want to hear that they weren't playing for the night. Like he was walking along and blowing the clouds out of the trumpet. And then, I remember they did had a whole bit about constructing Bang.
It's that got uploaded to YouTube, and I'm glad it did. It is so interesting to see like their process, and then like having like the freaking subway guy. And I was like, no way.
To clarify, the New York subway announcer, not Subway the restaurant.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please. That guy is in the AGR song Bang, if you guys didn't piece that together.
Yeah.
But it was really cool, and that show was awesome. Before, I think I saw the Gorillaz before that.
Yes,
it was
that
okay.
show would have been before AJR, yeah.
It was okay. They like only did Song Machine.
They feel like a band that abandons their old stuff the second anything new comes out. They seem like that kind of band that focuses on what they're doing right now.
Yeah, which I'm sad about. Like they played a few old ones, but like I was sad because I was kind of hoping I'd get a mix of everything. But they were like, oh, it was just all Song Machine, and like they had some interesting effects where they had like the characters like. Interacting with the real world people that were playing the instrument stuff, so it was cool, and like they had like a little thing with like Tootie and Murdoch talking to each other as directors.
That's pretty cool.
And so like it was cute, but like I don't know, it was it felt very lacking, and I was just like the DJ session they had before that where they were like playing a bunch of the old Gorilla songs. I was like, so they're doing this so that I don't get disappointed when the actual show comes on. Didn't work. But it was still fine. Like the special effects were cool. Like they played pretty well, and I love how the person who sings all the songs looked like he was singing. I think he was singing everything through a radio because that's how his like. He
would be probably singing it through a voice modulator, knowing how the Gorillaz typically sound.
Yeah,
and,
like, the
reason that he does that is he's British,
right?
Yeah, and like 2D is not. Like, or whatever the lead singer. Well, it kind of is. He kind of is.
2D kind of
is.
But
he's got a whole other voice than what it's Dan Dan something or other. He's also the lead singer of Blur. That's what he did before the Gorillaz.
Right. And I imagine singing into a modulator is easier than trying to... Because I know he voice acts the character separately from the modulator.
But singing is a lot different than trying to just speak it. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
The only concert experience I had virtually, which is weird that I only attended one, but then there was really only one that I wanted to attend that actually could.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of them.
And that was 21 Pilots, the live stream concert experience for the release of Scaled and Icy. It was on the release day of Scaled and Icy, and so when they said that it was a live stream concert experience, I was expecting to like go into the live stream and then just like see them perform like I would if I saw them in a concert venue.
Yeah.
No, these people did a full storyline, and they took over a full football stadium, like a smaller like football like stadium, and then built it on like the general admission floor. They built like multiple sets that they walked between throughout the show while playing some of the Scaled and Icy songs.
Wow, yeah.
And they did this whole connecting thing where it was supposed to be segments on a talk show in the fictional city that's part of their like concept albums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was Good Morning Dima, which I find really funny. And like Tyler was a guest on it, and then all of these songs were like segments within that world. It was so good. And like I had my 21 Pilots burrito to eat while I was at it. They did a cross promotion with Chipotle.
Oh, really?
Where they did Tyler Joseph's order. As the 21 Pilots burrito that you could order for free delivery on the night of the concert experience, which
that's awesome.
I did. Yeah. It was really cool. That was the only virtual one that I had attended, but it was a great one at that.
I like when virtual shows take advantage of the fact that they're virtual.
Yeah.
Because then you get stuff like that, where you get like the 21 Pilots one and the JHR one, where they're like, "Oh, well, we're not restricted to a stage, so check this out," and it's so cool. It was incredible. All right,
I think we're just about out of time. Actually, we've run a little over. That's okay.
Yeah.
But this was fun, and check out the core show. We have some awesome guests already on the show that you can check out. The time that this releases, we should only have one episode released, or actually one should come out on the day that this comes out as well. So you'll have Jesse and Cody to watch. Watch the other, or listen to the other episodes of JHR. We're still working on Apple Podcasts, but we are on Spotify.
Yep.
And we will see you guys all next week.
See you later, guys.